Hi everybody, welcome to Rusty Gears Season 4 Episode 90 with me, Sid. And sad episode. The final episode of a series is always a sad episode. But this is it. This is the last episode of Rusty Gears Season 4 that I will be recording. What can we say? Well, we're going to start off with, we're going to finish off with a bit of a tour. Because there's a lot happened this season, and yeah, there's certain things we can look at. So it's hard to imagine that just over a year ago, this was a little tiny shipwreck. There was an SOS in Stones. There's still a bit of the SOS there. None of the rest of this was around here. The only other thing that was in the area was there was that well, obviously that trader. And this monument was in the water, and that boat was still crashed. So, yeah, just under a year ago, we all spawned here, and this season's story progressed with, various people getting killed a lot by pigs. Punk starting his series-long enmity of cows, and just general shenanigans. And as usual, in being Rusty Gears, we all set off and we split up and we did our thing. Myself and several others went up here. We looked around these ruins. Went up to this ruin, and we kind of circumvented back round and got back down here. And by the time we'd done all of that, everybody had buggered off. And they went off down. They'd found this area. This was the village ruin. So the lots of houses ruined, but it was two together. They'd spawned literally side by side, which made it fairly unique. But so initially we started off down there. Now we'll come back here because obviously my home is here and the various bits and pieces, and we've built a lot up here, so we've got stuff to do. Should we take Elton Senna? We should. We haven't been out on our elk in a long time. I think that I know why. They really don't drive that well. Oh, hello, wrong thing. No. There we go. In run mode. So this road obviously didn't exist back then. This is added later. We all set up down here, and we got back. We were like, where's everybody gone? Would have been nice to have been told. Yada yada. Grumble grumble. Chunter chunter. By the time myself and I think Punk and a few other people had realised that the entire group en masse had moved, then most of the ruins had been picked and claimed. So we were a little bit stumped. Our grunt, we were lacking a certain amount of grunt. Put it that way. We were disgruntled because we did not have anywhere to live in the new Rusty Gears utopia, which was this desert village down here. And again, none of this was part of it. Oh, hello. But the various gears started making the spaces their own. Where they didn't exist, they started making them. But I'm not sure whether that one was there or not. I know that wasn't there. That was Per. She took over and started things. Gran and Punk eventually moved in there. Nathan, I want to say Azungu, but yes, Azungu. Trying to remember who was where and everywhere, but we moved in, basically, very much like hermit crabs. We found a thing and we moved into this place, and it grew over time. you know, Candy's kitchen, that's Candy's house. Not sure, that was Perks, Cricket and QP. This one was Vapes, Vaporous Orc. Down there is Deej, again not an actual ruin. And yeah, this place grew significantly, and we'll come back through over here in the daytime just to things. Andy Daze's house down there, Gran and Punk then built that one back over there, warehouse by QP, and yeah. Now we hunted around, we weren't sure where to settle, but in the end we settled down here initially, because early builds are sometimes, you know, harder to do than you would give them credit for. Let's put it that way. So we settled early doors in this church, and which became the Church of Sammy. Early doors Cricket adopted a worm, as I'm sure everybody remembers, and called it Sammy, and yeah, that Sammy took on a life of their own. But we moved in down here, and we had our all of our storage and everything in this space over here. Sifter, yeah, it was a good little home, good little starting point. You know, space over here for stuff. I think we use this as our cellar. All good stuff, and even had our mob farm down there, early doors. So this was a great place. I really enjoyed this. Now Punk early doors went subterranean, and he started making a sewer, which we connected into over here. This place is not safe. And the sewer, now we're going to have to walk all the way back, but the sewer runs down. I made this little ruin down here, just as a place really to start a storyline, because we needed some teleporters, and I'd found these various altars, so I borrowed these and made like a cultist headquarters, and behind the cultist headquarters there was this, which is where we had a translocator that took us out to the Resonance Archive. Now, that's now in the museum, but you know, so little story arcs, lots of fun had down here. I enjoyed making this. It was annoying because at the time I didn't have much gold, and I only had I think I only had the one. I might even not have had any night watchers, and the night watchers make things possible, but this sewer stretches all the way back down this corridor, all the way back to spawn. So yeah, that was in terms of the sewer. I think Punk took it from the up here. He kind of meanders around under here to about here, and then I joined from there. So yeah, joint effort, but lots of fun to be had. Fun. The things you do. crazy things that we do. So yeah, that was our starting area, and we had a few bits and pieces of industry over here. We had some farmage and plantage, and you know, kilns. Hang on, let's get that put over there. But eventually you grow out of everything, you know. This was always a temporary measure, and undoubtedly we'll have similar kind of things when we move to season 5. You know, we'll start off with a temporary home, which is a thing that will go on to a main build. I've got a few plans already kind of lined up in my head, but you know, we've got our berry bushes, we had our bee garden, lots of bees. We never did get a chance to transport all of those over to our bee garden up at the OG spawn, and lots of experiments this season trying to get a working mob farm, because since we've got the bowthorn and the shivers, the behaviour of mobs, cheeky man, has got very different. Over there, that was Andy's place, which after Andy retired from the server to play some single player, you know, we have people come, we have people go. That's how these servers work. Candy moved in down there, and Chaos started working down there on his dwarven thing, but wasn't really feeling the landscape, so the dwarf thing didn't really get off the ground. It can be hard, and sometimes it's very easy to come up with a really massive project and then burn yourself out trying to achieve it. And I think that possibly that was a little bit of what happened there. I'm sure if you watch Chaos, you'll see his perspective on it, but I've done it myself. In fact, I did it myself this season. As you know, I started the missile silo, and I just wasn't feeling it. As a build, it just had a certain sterility to it. So yeah, you know, these things happen. But yeah, Chaos moved into basically the same property as me, but this one was ruined. He's had to put new roof on his and everything. So in fact, it was Chaos who told me that thing had a basement. I just moved into the top. So yeah, that was a thing. But yeah, it started with the hillside going in, and like I say, just very much like my missile silo build, the feeling wasn't there, and I totally understand that. So, and I'm sure, you know, if I ask the question, I'm sure most of you will be able to sit there and talk about times where you've started a project and just petered out. The impetus and drive to do it has been, you know, cut short in its prime. But this was a good starting point. We had a lot of fun. Punk started working on the he looked at a kind of an open air arena thing going on, which was essentially a place for him to weather, I won't even say weather temporal storms. It was to run around like an idiot, trying not to die in a temporal storm, which seems very much like a Punk way of doing it. But because Punk was building that, I built the eyes in the sky. The eyes in the sky by watching Punk. They're always watching. Always watching you, Bazowski. Always watching. Now, towards the end of the season, Punk's also built these two towers. Those were... this is his Fallen Hope and Blackguard Museum commemorative tower. It got a bit of a inspiration boost from doing the Forlorn Hope Tower raid, because that was a really good raid. And speaking of raids, we've had a lot of really good ones this year. We've had a lot of simple ruin raiding as individuals, as parties, and so yeah, it has been, I think, a particularly good year for ruin raids. There's, as we know from my last episode where we did the university, I am most definitely going to be pushing us to get the university done early on. Well, relatively early on. I want to be a little bit geared. We've seen what's in there. But yeah, it was fun. The warehouse was a big space, and it didn't really catch on the same as last year's community centre. I think it was a little bit spread out. But you know, this is where I first started with the warehouse shelving. So we put all of that in, and then we had QP's storage controller there, but it didn't have the same drive, I think. I'm not sure whether we spread out too soon away from the community or were. Yeah, you can always. You can build the facilities and the community facilities. You can't force people to use them. So, you know, they had the little community garden. That's QP's old tent bag. His other tent bag is on the top up there. It's a puddle jumper from Stargate. But this is all QP's. The Museum of Toilets. That's his art gallery and slides and stuff. And Cricket and QP were based in there. Let's head over this way. This is Gran and Punk. They made this. This was their second home. More homes on this server, but again, beautiful building. There's been some truly inspirational builds on this server this season, so we'll have a look at those. QP's brain rot over there, and yeah, I think it's been a good season for builds. A lot of inspiration. Even Andy's little build there. That was his spawn build, and it was just a small build. There's a little bit of a cellar underneath it. That was where Cricket's cat tent bag was. Hence why there's a cat there. Someone at QP or somebody put a tent. I think. We're not going to go into Teacher's house. That's disturbing. Yeah, there's enough. That was enough there. Perk had that one there. As I say, Candy's kitchen, Candy's place. We did a lot in there, and this was a large central area. I built the storage, the shipping container for people to drop off goods, and I think it was Solstin who built the actual for the kiln there. So I've not even built one of those myself yet. That's been a thing. The community forge, as usual, we have a community forge. There's a lot of discussion actually about how we slow ourselves down, and this is a problem with a community. I know it's a bit of a first world problem, let's brutally honest. Communities work well, and I've had this discussion before in Vintage Story and Terra Firma Craft, and that is that a farm or survival medieval farming community or a medieval farm that had one person running it would fail. You can't do it. You can't till the things, do the animals, make the food, look after yourself, do the forging, do the blacksmithing, do the mining, do the... One person can't do it all, which is why when you look at single player playthroughs, they tend to go in spurts. So they'll be, gardening, farming, gardening, mining, making tools, because you can only do one thing at once. Now, a true community obviously has people in it, a group of people, and those people can divide the work up between themselves, and you can multitask. You can be mining while you're prospecting, you're farming, building, lumberjacking. All of those things can be happening at the same time, which means on the Rusty Gears server we typically have iron within the first 3 or 4 days of the server going live as a community. We may not have a lot of it because you've got to do all the bloomery and everything, you need all the other stuff to go with it, but we will have iron usually within the first 4 or 5 days. We'll probably have steel within the first 2 weeks, and there is a kind of a feeling that cheapens steel, because steel is the end game material, and the end game material we have within 2 weeks of getting there. Now, I would argue that the objective of a server like this, a community server, is the builds. It's the great creativeness of it. It's not the progression. The Terra Vintage Story progression is largely secondary in a community server like this. What you're actually aiming to do is getting yourself to a point where you can create enough resources to build Per's chemistry lab. And in the chemistry lab, you've got everything you need to do everything you need. You've got gears, you've got all of the sifting apparatus, you've got tanning, you've got leather, you've so much leather. You've got dyes, buckets and buckets of them. You've got all of the weird mineral materials. Everything is here for you. So as a community, if you suddenly went, oh, actually, I need, slow down, I need purple dye, it's probably here. Not always, as we found out when I was making, I needed the pink dye. It's to allow you to build the way station. It's to allow you to build the town hall. The food should become almost secondary, and obviously we've always had candy on giving us food. It's great, but you end up with these amazing structures. You know, you get little inspirations and you'll get small structures, like, you know, everybody suddenly got elks, and I kind of went elk, and then I saw elf, which is a petrol brand in Europe. So you have elf petrol stations, so I redid their logo as an elk petrol station, and I made a elk petrol station that will take you to the trader where you can buy your elk, and also sells elk related paraphernalia. You know, the community is not very much shop orientated. Vintage Story is a difficult one to achieve community, that kind of thing, because we don't have redstone. Obviously this one is my build, and this tells the story of our adventures. We started with the Resonance Archive. You can teleport out there. We've got the Lazaret, you can teleport that, the village, the Desolation over here, but you got the Nadia village, the Devastation, not the Desolation. I always get that the wrong way around. Teleport, I bet not many people have teleported out there. It's awful. St. Tobias's Cave, which is the end of the main storyline for Vintage Story. Then you've got the University, which is obviously what we did last episode. I haven't put a translocator in there, mainly because it takes quite a bit of time using the admin account, and yeah, there's not going to be the opportunity for most people to do that. I may try and do it before we package up the world. Forlorn Hope Tower and Bastion, you know, borrowed stuff. I actually didn't borrow that, I copied it, but I borrowed a coal mine. That's from one of the small coal mines, but that's taking you out to the coal mine. We've got the Great Machine, that's made out of bits from the coal mine, so I think it just looks really nice in the middle there. And not many people tour a museum on things. The QP's brain rot exhibit, we've got that St. Tobias statue that we found. That one's Serane's statue from the ruin that we found. That was the sarcophagus with all the gold. Some random bits and pieces, the Sammy exhibit, and a music exhibit down here at the end, which we put in recently. Had I got time, I probably would have put a little bit more into this, but again, you know, all things come to an end, and you have to sometimes accept that you're not going to get them finished. That is the nature of the beast. But this was a bit of fun build, and I will add that it would have been an absolute pig to build had we not got all of the resources that we have. And that kind of, you know, is the message here. Now, before we go back up to my build, let's take a trip out this way. I'll be back in a moment. Now, one of the things that makes a lot of what we do possible on this server is the Better Ruins mod. They found this mana ruin on day one, right back at the start. And if players were locusts, this is what the world would look like. There is very, very little left. And I think what's left is probably left because it's all chisel blocks. If you look at these blocks, they're a mixture of wallpaper, wood and plaster. But this has been utterly torn apart for every usable piece of resource or material, and there's still stuff in there which is probably usable. A lot of rotten oak, quite a few bits of carved wood. I don't know whether they are chiseled all the way through or not, but you know, it's just, yeah, that kind of sums up the survival chances of anything on this server. But out this way we do have one of the gears. Now unfortunately Cricket has not been active on the server for the last few months, and there are reasons, you know, without going into detail. Life has reared its head and bit and done what life does, and that's what happens. Cricket, I think it's Elton John over there, and that is what was his name? Oh my god, now I can't remember. I'm gonna have to get off, aren't I? I'm going to find out. No, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. John Marathon, yes. So, but Cricket set up out this way. Cricket is, if you've not seen Cricket Brit's work, she is a superlative chiseler. Does really nice furniture. I'm just trying to work out how to get through to I know where the A-frame is. It's just difficult to navigate around this this terrain to get there, because it's there. And so yeah, we had a lot of fun teasing Cricket. Yeah, I had a running joke where I would use those protective suit stands, and every time Cricket was AFK, I'd basically box her in using protective suit stands, or I'd leave them behind a door so when she'd open the door she couldn't get out. They're, you know, little fun jokes. Honest, they're funny jokes. Fun. Oh, I never noticed that there was little smileys on the side there. I don't know who left those. Oh, hang on. That. Did I discover a secret? Well, it wasn't much of a secret. It is a secret, obviously. I've got to work out how to get out again. And whoever did it didn't link the doors. Come on, do your pranks properly. Slow down. But yeah, so this is Cricket's A-frame. Bits of the Sammy's sign that I made for the Sammy's nightclub. Her tent was basically a pole dancing club for worms, and that kind of tells you everything you need to know. But to look at, you know, so this was my kind of thing. I would leave these and move them around, and you'd be turned around. But Cricket does all the furniture, and we're really looking forward. I think I know that she's going to struggle to join us for the start of season 5, or at least she has said so. So we'll hopefully everything will get back, and life will do it. And somebody has clicked on that, has lost its that's lost its thing. Wasn't me. Anyway, so hello. Oh, good grief! I need to learn to drive. That's Cricket's place. So I'm going to head back to the spawn town, and we'll quickly run up to Gran's, just because that it's there, and then we can head back up and we can finish off the tour with my build, which obviously, if you've been following me, you will already know. But yeah, I'll see you in a moment. Alright, so back here at the way station. So after we'd done the Resonance Archive, we added these 4 cardinal point teleporters. And each one of these takes you 200,000 blocks in the direction of the thing. So 200,000 blocks south, 200,000 blocks north, west and east. We are thinking this season, season 5, of introducing these much earlier. Not 100% certain whether we're going to do them on day 1 or within a week or 2. But to the north, Gran moved because Gran had a plan, and Gran's plan was to build something large and absolutely insane. So Gran decided to build Winterfell. Now, I can't show you all of this because I don't know where Gran's got to in her videos. Yeah, I know it isn't finished because she still has to furnish the insides of her builds, including Winterfell itself, but she built the town, these villagers. This was inspired heavily by Nadia Village, and yeah, Gran fell in love with that place. She was running around like... I think the phrase, the little colloquial phrase you often hear is happy as a pig in shit. Taking screenshot after screenshot after screenshot. So she did these amazing little town and village structures out here. Really captured it. She's really figured out the technique to make these. If anybody tells you that the village structures and these things in the village of Nadia are creative, no, they're not. You can make them. These are entirely survival built. So yeah, I've had that argument with somebody. But I can show you the front because we've kind of done the front, and I don't think she's done anything out here since then. So this is the castle of Winterfell. We've got the inn, the smoking log, which is currently Gran's building repository for a lot of this project, and we keep on dropping things off. I never did get to go through on my threat to turn these into toilets and put a poop pile down here, and for that I sincerely apologise. Over there is Gran's tent, and her house is underneath that, but she's got the massive great walls here. I've done a lot of work helping her with build the walls because it's massive. I mean, look, it's huge. The only bit I regret not finishing is I didn't get the battlements finished on those, but that's relatively small fish. But she's got all of these builds. There's a massive amount. Now I know that Gran has asked us to get a download of the world for her at the end of the end of the series or season, so she can do a single player version. In fact, I think I can take you into the hall because she's shown the hall off. Let me just keep my eyes downcast so I don't show anything off to that side or that side. Some of this has been seen before, but it really is things. But the Great Hall, I mean, she's just does great work. These when Gran's motto is, when you can't find the items in the world, you make them. So when the benches and the tables that come with a clutter were not really suitable for what she wanted, she made her own. Made a great fireplace. That's going to have something, I don't know what's going on. Oh, there's probably there'll be rich soil under there. That's particles from the particle mod. So yeah, and just to emphasize the detail and the work she puts in, that roof is insane. I would not have the patience for that. I really wouldn't. Oh, maybe I could do it, but it would be I would be really hating beams by the time I got to it. So that's Winterfell. We'll leave the rest for Gran to do, but I do know that she's going to take this and finish it in single player. I'm not sure whether she's going for single player survival or single player creative. I don't suppose it really matters. The art and the vision will be the same, so the only difference will be the amount of effort required. Now all of that is of course survival. We have no survival with mods. Let's say survival with mods, because the splitter plug mod and everything was absolutely vital. Anyway, I'm going to head back and we'll go up and we'll finish off on my area, the build that I have done, what I have done, because other than the small fort renovation, which I think we covered that in the episode. I'm not going to go hunting out all of those. I'll see you in a mo. Alright, so here we are back at the spawn town. This is so I built this after we got the elks. We built this as an elk parking. So that is Purrs, El Camino, Punk's Bro there, and nobody. I think that's it. We're emptying the other two, and obviously Elkton Centre at the end there. There is, I think this one is Errol. This is Perks. Perk didn't name in Errol. I may have done it, and I have also used accessibility tweaks to mute their more annoying noises. So down again, not in any particular order. We built when we got to the boats, and we built the old boat down here. We built the docks just to do it. Now we might as well. No, we need to visit Punk's UFO. Punk started this. He again, and this is no judgment because reality bites sometimes. He really struggled doing the chiseling on this glass. I mean, making this amount of glass is painful enough. Chiseling it into a dome, definitely less than ideal. And but his story arc behind this was a little bit Mars attacks. So I don't know whether you can see down there. Well, let's go from underneath. There's a beam here, which is going. And early doors, you actually got up by going, if I can, well, what you would do, yeah, you'd need that. Let me just borrow that boogie board. You boogie boarded up, and you'd boogie board up. Now, Punk has had a vendetta and a campaign against the cattle on this server since the thing. It's been his kind of storyline, if you like. And so the idea was this is his vengeance on Moose. These were things that I may have pranked him a little bit with a prank that he liked, because he got lots of cows up here, so I put a load of cows up when this was just literally, that bit was the only bit that existed. But that was the kind of the storyline here, and I appreciate that chiseling that glass, especially to make a dome, would have been painful. Absolutely painful. So yeah, no hate there. That's but yeah, there's one of the things being slurped up. Now next to the thing, I did put my original tent. This was my small tent, and I'm just going to actually put in over. I think what we'll do is we'll go, if I can fit it in there. I probably need to break that. No. Can I get away with it there? Will it work there? Yes. So I'm just going to dump my tent bag, my big tent bag there, because this was I think this is probably one of my favourite tent bags that I've ever done, actually. That's packed. I want an empty tent bag, and that can go away. That has been, yeah, it's multifunctional, multi-purpose. It's been great. And because we're traditional to have a pub on the server, we had the Drunken Panda in season 3, and in season 4 we had the Inebriated Elk. So this was the pub we built down here. It's not 100% finished. There was some work to do in the kitchen here, but yeah, this is all there. We've even got, you know, the bit for the ladies to display themselves for the bordello upstairs, because of course, you know, we need everybody needs a bordello. I'm not entirely sure what Sarati and Tyrone thought of as building a bordello, but there you go. They seemed more interested in some of the clutter blocks. But my thrust this year, apart from getting the gardens at the bottom, my personal build and challenge was I wanted to try and build a modern build in Vintage Story. Now, I said this right at the start, modern in Vintage Story is difficult. These were the vineyards. Got the black grapes. This was the bee orchard, so we've got all the bees in the things. Now, some of these have got bees, some of them don't. That has bees, that one doesn't. And I never really needed that much honey, so we never pushed it to its maximum, but there you go, that was the idea. Somewhere in here there should still be a whole load of those these baited glass jars, which I've been trying to catch myself more fireflies with, but they are very RNG, very RNG. We got some, but there you go. Didn't get them all. Not like Pokemon after all, but there you go. So that was the bee garden, and you've got the red berries and the cranberries over there. Bins down at the bottom, look, complete with waste products. And we went up, and I wanted to build a modern build. That was my drive. So we had a very modern cut. I also did do an underground hydroponics area just to try to see how I could do this. And Vintage Story is peculiar in its underground farming rules, because it will... See, that one died from too low temperatures. They are cold damage. That's fine. I'm not worried because I'm not going to harvest these. Underground is based from sea level. So because this is above sea level, it's not underground, even though it's underground. Similarly, the chucks here. I don't think I've fed them, hence why there's no eggies in the hen boxes. But the chucks here are... Well, that one's got some eggs. Okay. Are essentially living underground. Now, I did this for two reasons. One is I wanted to keep them quiet and out of the way. But the other reason is I don't want foxes and wolves and everything to get them. And that way, foxes and wolves can't spawn and get them. But you have to keep them illuminated. If they're in a too dark an environment, they die. Lots of secret doors using chisel tools. We've got the thing going up. But I wanted a real modern looking mansion. So up at the top here, we ended up with a large swimming pool. Let's just come out and have a look at it from the side here. With waterfalls coming off the edge. That was the things. Lots of glass, lots of modern looking light. Modern facilities, you know, a working fire pit. We've got the living room came in. We've got nice modern sofas. QP for Christmas gave us a 4K TV in the space, but Cricket Brick gave us the Pong machine. It seemed like I never really noticed it. She even gave it a little power lead look. There's some fireflies, and again, leaning into the secrets thing, we do have a secret door there, which is quite difficult to get through, which brings you into the man cave with an 8K TV, more speakers. This was a fairly recent alcohol globe, because nothing says, well, as the thing, the epitome of taste, nothing says classy like a globe where you store your drinks. Honest. But this is where we store all of our valuables, and we can get in through here as well. So you've got all of that. I did plan to put a teleporter room through there, but that never happened. Got the stairs, again modern basalt stone stairs with a balustrade going around, glass balustrades, lots of sofas, up to a top garden area. Takes you up to the top there. My first attempt at planting fruit trees was at on the top layer up there. Too cold, too warm, just right on this layer here and here. So these will vernalise and these will give fruit, but it took a lot of time to work that one out. Nice little armchair and reading area, and then we end up with a bedroom with a big circular bed, functional bed from QP, all of this stuff. We've got the wardrobe with functional clothing and suitcases on the top of the wardrobe. I just went to town and enjoyed and tried to make this look as modern as possible. Hence, you've got a bathroom with a shower, hot and cold, plug there, you've got your towels on the rail, mirrors and sinks, and reading material by the toilet, essential in my house. TP, you need the TP. Modern uplighters, lots of interesting attempts to make this look as modern as possible. So the breakfast nook up the top way, come and eat your breakfast in the morning on the side, and slanted glass, hanging lights, keeping it. Now there are hidden night watchers under the floor around this build, because one of the things I think you should be able to build with is light. I've had this conversation many times. Light is a building tool, and it shouldn't be a tool that you have to use to prevent spawns. So by having a means of preventing spawns such as a night watcher, it means we can actually use light and dark areas as relevant things. So we've got the downstairs toilet and shower area, the bathroom, the kitchen. I was really pleased with the way this came out, even more so when I realised you could put a fire pit underneath a oven to heat it. So we've got all the things. We've got a water source, there's even a bin hiding in there. This is the walk-in fridge, and then the main bulk storage is down in this secret area, where we've got various bits and pieces of vinegar and rot. For some reason I'm not entirely sure what I had in there, but whatever it was, it didn't survive. Olive oil, we've got more vinegar, lots and lots of vinegar, lots of cider, lots more vinegar. The vinegar we did a lot of because we can make, we added a mod that allows us to make aged wood, and you use vinegar to make it. And then the drinks cellar, which if I made more, I've got a few bottles, I could start bottling those things up, but that would be the thing. So that was the cellars, and pretty much everything in the living quarters. And then you went down into the actual guts of the build, and the idea was you've got over here you've got the warehouse. We never did fill all of this. I probably went overboard. I probably could have filled it with more chests and boxes quite easily. The sifting setup, that's where we put the gravel, sifts out there. This is our warehouse controller, made to look like a little computer, so you sit in the chair and you just, you get access to everything within here and in there. All linked in via the warehouse, the QP storage tools. Little waiting area down here. Over here we've got, this was going to become a gym, I never got around to doing it. I was also going to put a balcony out here, and I never got around to doing that. There's lots of things, you can have plans and don't you, just because you don't do them doesn't matter. And then in here, this was the tent bag room. So this is our our barrel room, where we do things with like lime water and tannin. And what you would do is you'd get your empty tent bag out of the safe in the wall. You would pack it up, you put your tent bag in there, you get the other tent bag, and bang, and now we've got the armoury out. So the idea was that this was a single room that could be multiple rooms. There were certain things that it couldn't put on display, but you know. And for me, this is quite a tame armory. And then over here was the nerve center, and again, this is something that we kind of discussed with the community bit, is when the community has everything you need, you don't tend to build the stuff. Now, for me, that's not true. We have a working forge with a working forge hammer and working bloomeries and working everything over at this thing. I didn't need to make any of this. I could have just used the community forge. But for me, the fun is making them. So here's my forge with my steam hammer, which is to help fully powered health hammer. It's powered by these hidden windmills. The windmills are powered by the fact that that is an open block, so that gives them the power to run. We've got stuff down here. That's a kiln. I don't think there's anything else down here. I think that's pretty much it on this side. But you know, we've used this space accordingly to get these things. These are millwright windmills, hence why they're so mental. And even a charcoal kiln back here. But you know, you can turn that on and it's a steam hammer. And obviously that's just all a chisel facade to make it look nice. So just because we have community versions of things doesn't mean you don't have them. I've got my own metal storage with all of my stuff. When I did this, I made it look like a metal stock holders. It's a technique. They have the bars and they paint the ends colours to indicate what they are. So, you know, they're a little bit more complex than just one colour on the end. They tend to be 3 or 4 colours, like a little flag. But we've got all of that hidden chests up there. We've got all of our moulds, all of that through in there. These are obviously blah 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 thingy-bobs, forges, but they're creative ones. We've got that at the back, hidden fuel storage. Modern looking anvils that are made using QP's decorative anvil. But that's still burning. Okay. Apparently I was making quicklime at some point and just left it going. This one here is supposed to be a modern forge, so gas line going in. Yeah, it's just things. And then modern tool racks using decorative tool racks and the kind of the grate and pin. So all of this has been, I think, a successful attempt to make a modern thing. We even include a cementation furnace in there, and I'll be honest, I only ever used it once because I tend to use meteoric iron. Now, next season I will be not using the meteoric iron, but the particles mod that I use that shows meteoric iron. I will be using a particles mod, but it's just the one that shows resin. That's the only thing. I may use the peat one, but probably won't. Peat is not the one that's awkward to find. It's resin that's a pig. Now, one of the things that was pointed out to me early doors was this looks like a Bond villain, which is why I added a secret section to it. And in the secret section we added air quotes hotel, which is in fact a trader farm where these traders turn up to the mats and they take the food and they leave gears, and hence why I am quite rich in gears. And through that way was my attempt to make the nuclear missile silo, which I made the silo. I just lost steam. It was not what I anticipated. Let's just say that it was most definitely not what I was kind of thinking it was going to come out at, and consequently, you know, I kind of lost steam, and in the end I just went, look, I'm not going to do it because I'm not going to enjoy it. And here's the thing, I do this for fun. I do this because I enjoy it. I play the game because I enjoy it. I record myself doing it because I enjoy it. And hopefully most of the time that comes across. Now, I know I'm an old git, And as an old git, I don't get excited like these young content creators with all their screaming and hype and stupidity, and that is fine, because that's who I am, and I'm not going to be something. I've had people in the past tell me, oh, you need to be more animated, you need to be happier, you need to be sillier, you need to be... It's like, no, I just need to be me, because that's who I am. So I tend to come across a bit deadpan, and possibly, you know, a little bit more emotionless than some other content creators, and that's fine. I'm not in this for the money. I'm not in this for a living. You know, I make a small amount of cash from YouTube because I haven't monetized, but it literally would buy a few beers a month. It's nothing to write home about. So there's a lot of reasons to do this, but the main reason, and if you're not doing it, especially for most of us, the main reason is to do it for fun. Because I guarantee you one thing that your viewers will see, and that is that if you are doing it for some cynical attempt to gain views and force yourself into the mega creator category, they will see right through you immediately, and they will know that you're a fake, and they will stop watching. So if you're not enjoying it, you might as well give up now. Because that is the reason we do it. That's what we have. That's why season 4 for me has been just under a year's worth of content. For the most part, other than the last month or so, it's been 2 episodes a week, and I have thoroughly enjoyed making everything that I've made, almost everything that I've made. I'll be fair, you know, as I say, the nuclear missile silo, the thing that is down here somewhere. I can't even remember where I put it now. It's kind of buried under one of these things. That was a chore, and that's why I stopped. I started refreshing and refurbishing this. It was a bit of a chore. I didn't really like this castle as much as some of the other ones. Anyway, I do want to do refurbish a ruin, possibly in season 5. We'll see how we go. I have plans. I have big plans for season 5. Oh, into the chatting thrones. Look, I have big plans for season 5, and hopefully you'll like them all. And again, in my usual style, those plans will be something that can be broken up into small micro plans, because doing something massive can become disillusioning. So we really you need to manage your own expectations and your own energies. So my plans for season 5, well, you're going to have to wait a week or two to find out some of those. You probably have to wait out a little bit longer for some of the other ones, but I think on that note, it's time for me to say thank you for watching this. I hope you've enjoyed season 4 of Rusty Gears with me. It has been a blast. It's had its ups and downs, as usual. We've had people come and go. Interest has waxed and waned at times. Real life has jumped up out of the ground and bit people in the ass, at least when they least expect it, and meant that they struggled to make the content. That's fine. This is life, and life seldom plays fair. So, you know, we do it for the love of the game, we do it for the love of playing, and we do it for the love of having a laugh and just generally being a community. And on that note, I hope you all join us on or after the 15th of November, which is currently the provisional date for the start. So there will be some people streaming. I will be recording as usual. I ummed and ahed about streaming. The problem is I'm not really set up for streaming anymore, and most of my I'll have to sit there and do a lot of faffing around, and it kind of, it's kind of semi-pointless when everybody else or several of the other people are streaming anyway. You can watch the stream live and you can catch up with my edited highlights afterwards. But until then, thank you very much for watching, guys. And next week we won't have a Rusty Gears episode. We will have a Rusty Gears Season 5 announcement video coming out. It will be quite short. But till then, thanks for watching. Bye for now.